What's up, guys? In this video, we are going to take a look at this interesting article that I found on Reddit, of all places. Apparently, there's some good information on Reddit about science. I know they love their science over there on Reddit, but anyway, this one is it is a longitudinal study which links energy drink consumption to depression, anxiety, and stress. I thought this was interesting because having worked in let's call it a high pressure sales job for the past way too many years, I am no stranger to drinking energy drinks. I don't drink them anymore. I stick to coffee now. But there was a time where I was drinking two, sometimes even three energy drinks per day. The fucking big half-liter Monster, or in some countries they didn't have Monster, so it was something else. But basically, that's what it was. I got the ones without sugar, but I don't think that it necessarily makes a difference. Well, it's probably better to drink the ones without sugar, but I don't think this study differentiates between people who drink the sugar-free ones or the sugar ones. Anyway, let's take a look at this together. I actually have not read this article, so I will read it right now. It does not seem that long. Energy drinks are potent mixtures of ingredients like caffeine, guarana, sugar, ginseng, and aspartame. They are intended and marketed to improve mood, alertness, and productivity, but may have long-term secondary effects that are decidedly less beneficial. So, aspartame, as far as I know, is a fucking sweetener, isn't it? Is aspartame not just a sweetener? Yeah, it's a sweetener. How is aspartame a fucking potent mixtures of ingredients? I don't know. Whatever. And I guess sugar is kind of in there as well. Do they improve mood, alertness, and productivity? I can tell you 100% yes, they do. The reason that I was drinking energy drinks, and many of the people who do this job with me, working at a kiosk or even in any kind of sales in general, the reason we would drink energy drinks is because it's pretty much the case that when you drink them, you will sell more. Drinking energy drinks equals more money in your pocket. Like, I remember when I lived in New Zealand, I would wait every day till 11 o'clock. I would get there at 9. And I would wait 2 hours for my first energy drink. I was so disciplined because I'd have one at 11 and I'd have one at 2. And at 11 o'clock, I would go to the fucking whatever store was that had the drinks, and I would buy one and I would start drinking it on the way back. And then as soon as I got back, I would stop somebody and I would sell someone. And it was not like once or twice this happened. This was fucking 8 times out of 10. So this stuff actually works. Okay. A variety of cross-sectional studies has already examined the relationship between energy drink consumption and mental health problems like anxiety, depression, and increased feeling of stress. Few to date, however, have done so longitudinally, meaning that causal relationships have been difficult to determine or demonstrate. To remedy this, the present study looked at data from 897 individuals who have been followed from birth in the context of the previously published RAIN study. Questionnaires were given at age 20 and again at age 22 regarding, among others, energy drink consumption and mood. After controlling for parental mental health, illicit drug use, dietary patterns, family income, parental alcohol consumption, and cigarette use, BMI, physical activity, and other factors, the researchers found that the changes in energy drink consumption were positively associated with increased stress scores and in young adult males, depression and anxiety. So, what does that even mean? That's a lot of stuff to control for. Okay, parental mental health, I guess that makes sense. Like, if your mom is crazy, that's a random example. I'm not saying my mom is crazy. Then it's likely that you'll be crazy. Illicit drug use, that will also probably be very, influential on your mental state. Dietary patterns, that's very vague. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree that if your diet is fucked up, you're going to be stressed and depressed. Family income, I guess that's also important. Parental alcohol consumption and cigarette use, I guess that's also true. BMI, physical activity, and other so I don't know, it just feels like they're controlling for a lot of different stuff there. It's like if you control for one or two things, I guess that's okay. But it's like, how do you even argue that there's a link when you control for fucking 50 things? You know what I mean? So that's a little iffy. I'm not saying I disagree with their conclusion, because I have noticed in myself, when I was going through periods where I was drinking multiple energy drinks per day, I would eventually get burned out and I would get depressed and I'd be stressed out all the time and I'd be very anxious. Even now, when I drink a lot of caffeine, it still can be very challenging from a mental standpoint. And I guess everybody experiences short bouts of stress or anxiety or depression. Now I only work a few days a week, so it's not like I'm doing this it's not chronic, my consumption of caffeine on that level. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to I agree with this, but when you control for so much, I don't want to say it's meaningless, but it's like you take away a lot of the potency of the argument. Energy changes in energy drink consumption were positively associated with increased stress scores and in young adult males, depression and anxiety. So I think that young adult males are more likely to be stressed and anxious now regardless. I know there's this statistic floating around that women actually suffer more from anxiety. I think that's not true. I think that men suffer more from anxiety. I think women, especially young women, have it fucking made in the shade. And there is a very large population of young men who are silently suffering because as a man, it's not really like, you do not get any points for saying you're suffering or your mental health is shit. Like, you're looked at like a weakling and you do not, it's not a good thing. Whereas with a woman, like if you complain, oh, my mental health is bad, everyone will be nice to you and like pet you and say they're there, it's okay, and you get attention, which is one of the things women love, possibly more than anything else. The authors have made valiant efforts to control for confounding variables and propose several ways by which energy drink consumption may affect mood, I think that's supposed to be, including altering sleep behavior. The possibility of some upstream behavior or other element acting on energy drink consumption and depression and anxiety separately, however, is left largely unexplored. So I can tell you from my perspective what happened to me, because this is something that I did multiple times throughout my career as a salesperson. Is I would go to a new area, I would work really hard for 6 months, I would sacrifice everything in order to make as much money as possible at the job, which meant drinking at least 2 energy drinks a day. And by the end of it, I would be so burned out that I would have to quit, and then I would take all the money that I had saved and go, fuck off to some exotic location and spend all my money, and then eventually go have to do it again. So I think what's actually happening is when you drink energy drinks, your body's producing so much adrenaline, because that's what a stimulant is, right? Is it stimulates your central nervous system by releasing norepinephrine, which is adrenaline. I don't know. It's either epinephrine or norepinephrine. To kind of like to get your body sped up, right? To speed up your nervous system. And I think that without sufficient rest, if you're not resting enough, your body just gets so like amped up that it eventually one day just kind of like poops out, and you're like, no, I can't do it anymore. And that, if you continue to work and I guess balance out that overstimulation with some sort of reasonable amount of rest or healthy activities, or just not drinking energy drinks, you'll kind of be able to temper somewhat the depression and the anxiety. General lack of energy, for example, can be caused by any number of external influences or internal factors, and could explain increased symptoms on the one hand and lead to increased energy drink consumption on the other, to combat the underlying fatigue. The authors do note that the ingredients in energy drinks may exacerbate existing symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress. I think that's something else that is worth noticing. Is it that energy drinks increase depression and anxiety and stress, or is it that people who are already experiencing increased levels of stress, anxiety, and depression naturally will gravitate more towards drinking energy drinks frequently on a regular basis? I think that there is some overlap there. I think that it is both. I think that, if you're really tired all the time and you're really stressed out all the time, you might turn to an energy drink, just like you might turn to alcohol or weed or cocaine or fucking anything else to give you a little boost to help get you through the day. And also, if you use these things on a regular basis, it is going to, affect your mood over a long period of time. The authors recommend that future studies will want to explore additional measurements as self-reporting, especially of mental health issues, is subject to under and or over reporting bias. Additionally, many of the participants lost to follow-up in the context of the now 30-year-long RAIN study were characterized by socioeconomic disadvantage, meaning results may be skewed. Despite their widespread consumption and in many nations limited regulation, the deleterious effects of energy drinks are not fully understood, something the present study seeks to remedy. So that's interesting that they put this in the end of the article. So this RAIN study was a, I guess, 30-year study where they looked at 900 people or something. I don't know, from birth, it sounds like. But it's interesting that, what does it say here? Many of the participants lost to follow-up in the context of the RAIN study were characterized by... does this mean that many of the participants who were lost to follow-up, like who were not followed up with, had socioeconomic disadvantage? Like, that's what this means. Like, a lot of the people who didn't follow up in the study were poor, right? So is that, is it that poor people aren't affected by it and only people who have money are made depressed by energy drinks? I don't know why what you're supposed to infer from that, but it's possible. I wouldn't rule it out. I guess if you don't have the stress of making money and all of this like additional stress that comes with that, then you would not be stressed out by being addicted to energy drinks. Makes sense? Anyway, I thought this article was interesting enough to make a video on. What do you guys think? Do you want to see more videos about studies like this? If you do, let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.